Hey, what's up everybody? It's Brandon back with Campbell Fitness with another really quick cooking recipe for you guys if you're on a bodybuilding type diet or just looking for a healthy alternative. So today what we're going to be making is called mustard encrusted salmon. Now it may not sound that great up front, but I'll tell you that it's probably one of my favorite things to have on a given night. So the ingredients that we're going to need today, first of all, you are going to need some salmon fillets. So I have two right here, so this will be 2 servings. I'll have this for a meal now, and then I'll put one in the refrigerator for later. You're going to look to get about 1/3 of a pound salmon fillets. Okay. In this case, too, for our sides, we're going to be looking for vegetables. So this is going to be a low carb, so we're going to stay away from the typical brown rice or sweet potatoes that I usually like to have when I have carbs with my meals. And instead, what we're going to be looking at, we're going to be getting some asparagus in. All right. We're also going to have some sliced cucumber on the side as well. And that's the main ingredients that you're going to need for this recipe. Now on the side, what you're also going to need is you're going to need some pepper. You're going to need some honey mustard. Now you could use Dijon mustard if you prefer, but honey mustard I find works a little bit better. Any brand will do. And you're also going to need some panko seasoned breadcrumbs, alright? Now with these, a lot of people tell you stay away from breadcrumbs, and I would agree with that. We're going to use this very, very sparingly because this is where you could add potentially a lot of bad carbs, a lot of bad fat, and a lot of bad calories. So we're going to go very, very light on these. And that's all we need. The great thing about this meal is not only is it very high protein, it has a low amount of fat, and the fat that it does have is all good because it's coming from the salmon in this case only, and it's very, very low carb. And with preparation and cooking, it only takes about 20 minutes. So if you're on the go or you find that you don't have a lot of time to prepare meals, this is something that is very quick, very easy, very reasonable as far as price goes, and most of all, it's delicious to have. So let's take a closer look and see exactly how much of each ingredient we need and the preparation before we actually start to cook this. So let's go. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to prepare the fish. So what I have here is I have a baking pan lined with tin foil. Alright, so we want to use tin foil in this case because we don't want the fish to stick. And to help with this as well, what I'm going to do is I have some non-stick cooking spray. In this case, I'm using canola oil. And I'm just going to spray this sheet down really briefly, just so we get a coat on there so that the fish doesn't stick. So then what we're going to do is we're going to transport the salmon fillets, skin and all, onto the tin foil. And the next step after we do this is we're going to coat these with pepper. Now, you can technically use salt on this too to add flavor, but because we're trying to make a diet meal here, we're going to try to stick away from the salt. So the first thing we do is we get pepper on both. Next comes the mustard, and again, I'm using honey mustard. You can choose to use whatever kind of mustard you prefer. And you want to put a little bit on here. What we're going to do is then spread this across the fillet. You don't want to be too generous, and you can always add more, so more is less in this case. So then what we're going to do is we're going to spread this mustard across the entire fillet. Alright. And now this honey mustard, when we cook it, it's really going to bring the flavor out of the fish, and it goes well together nicely, so it's a good pairing. Alright, so we're going to spread this out. There we go. Now, after you do this, the next step is going to be to add the breadcrumbs. So again, I have panko seasoned breadcrumbs here. We want to go pretty light on these because these can potentially have a lot of calories and a lot of fat in them. So we're going to want to go very light. So I'm just getting about a tablespoon or so. And I'm probably not even going to use that, but I'm just going to lightly flake this over the salmon. And again, that honey mustard is going to keep this on there. And when we bake this in a second, one of the ways we're going to look to make sure that it's done is that we start to get a nice golden brown crisp on these. Alright, so there you go. So the fish is actually prepared now. That didn't take any time whatsoever, as you can see. So now what we're going to do is we're going to preheat the oven to about 350 to 375 degrees and put the fish in there. Now it should take anywhere from about 12 to 15 minutes to bake these. Again, you want to look for a little bit of a golden brown crisp on the top of these. And you should be able to see on the sides that the fish is cooked fully through. Now while we're doing that, we're going to prepare our vegetables next. So let's take a look at that and get this in the oven. Okay, so we're back. So we have our asparagus, we have our cucumber. The first thing we're going to do is to get our asparagus ready. And tonight what we're going to do is we're actually going to just steam this asparagus. So I have my asparagus here, it's washed. I'm going to cut off the ends of these bad boys here. Probably about an inch or two of the bottom. I'm going to just slice off and put these in my steamer basket. Again, depending on how big a serving you are, you can use more or less asparagus. One of the things I will be doing, as I mentioned, is I will be putting this in the refrigerator, and I can have this for either a snack later or for another meal tomorrow. Alright? So I'm going to put enough asparagus in here in my steamer basket for 2 servings. So next up is our cucumber, and what I'm going to do is just slice this because I plan on just tossing this with some very, very light, fat-free salad dressing. And again, you can mix it up here depending on what you want to do. But this is what we're going to do. So as I chop this, what we'll do is we'll put this asparagus on the boiling water to steam it, and then we'll toss this and we'll wait for the fish to get finished. So when we come back, we'll take a look at what this looks like. Alright, so we're back here with the finished product. Here we have the total. So we have the cucumbers up top, we have the fish in the middle, and the asparagus on the bottom. So altogether this takes about 20 minutes to make. That's including preparation time. The macros on this meal, what you're looking at, is about 400 calories, 40 grams of protein, 10 grams of carbs, and about 15 to 20 grams of fat. Now that might sound like a lot of fat, but again, you have to remember that all of the fat in this meal is coming from that piece of salmon, so you're getting a lot of those healthy omega fats that are important to everyone's diet. So this is not a bad meal whatsoever. It's quick to do, and more importantly, tastes great. Thanks for watching, everybody.